And notice what it says here. The return of America's favorite serial killer. It's like they're glorifying it, friends. And we have learned, friends, to enjoy and to find pleasure in pain and suffering. We have learned to enjoy pleasure and find pleasure from someone dying and a blood murder. And this is what we are watching. I'm telling you, the ratings is high, friends. The ratings is high. I mean, I was reading on TV Guide and it says that a lot of people are watching it. I mean, it's high. And this is what society is feeding on. And society, friends, includes whether you're a church or you're unchurched. I don't know the viewing selection of some of our church people, but this is what is on TV. What are we watching? What are you watching? What are we allowing in our home, friends? What are we doing to our young people?
My Lord.
Fathers, what are we doing to our wives? Wives, what are we doing to our husbands by not raising up a poison voice against these evils that are coming into our home through the dish and through the cables? What are we doing to our children, friends? As a result, friends, this phenomenon has developed. And I call it ABIS. And ABIS is Acquired Violence Immune Deficiency Syndrome. And this phenomenon acts much like AIDS. You see, friends, AIDS never killed anyone before. See, what AIDS is, it is an acquired immune deficiency syndrome. And notice it says that it is an acquired immune. Therefore, that we have bombarded our system with so much devalued food and there's no nutrients in these foods, and we don't get enough sleep, and we work too hard, and we get ourselves exposed to all different types of toxic chemicals, so eventually after time, our immune system becomes deficient. And simple diseases like a common cold becomes fatal. We're not killed by AIDS, we're killed by this simple thing because our immune system is not strong enough to defend and protect the body. So what's the correlation here? ABIS. An acquired violence immune deficiency syndrome. Friends, after we watch these violent movies over and over and over again, and we watch these violent scenes, friends, whatever we behold, we are becoming like.
Oh, yes.
And we're saying that there's no change. But I'm telling you, friends, I'm living in a society, and I see it every single day, that I grew up with. When I was growing up, I had 4 really good friends. And we used to go to church from age 5. We go to church every single week. And I see over the years, as a result of looking to our community, looking to these movies, that these young men started to act like the community. They wanted to be like the guys that were in church. They want to be rough and tough. And they want to show themselves that I'm someone that you don't want to mess with. And if you do me something, I'm going to do you something back. And it's all about revenge. And it's all about fighting our own battles. And these are the lessons that we are learning. And we see that even in God's church, friends. Have mercy. Please don't do something to one of these sisters in the church. They will cost you in church. And if need be, they might fight, because you know what? Garbage in, friends, is garbage out. We've been feeding from the world, and the world is teaching us how we should react. And because we've been watching a mad black woman, and because we're watching the behavior of Medea, whatever her name is, they will start acting like her, because that's what we've been seeing. That's what we've been viewing, friends. But if we were reading God's word, if we were looking to God the Father on a consistent basis, then we hear God saying through his words, soft answers turning away wrath with grievous words of anger, but because we have nothing to pull from. We are pulling from the word, we're pulling from what we're seeing for the media. So therefore, the way how we react, we're reacting like the world. And I tell you, friends, we've gotten to the point with these young men that I grew up with, these young brothers. 2 is now dead because they got caught up in the wrong company. And this one individual, he was my best friend at the time. And we used to hang together, we used to listen to the rap music, and we used to have a little club we call a group called the Fresh Kids. And we used to go to different fests and different dances, and we used to perform And it got to the point that they had many CDs, and I announced to a friend, and I just called his name Tom, and he called my friend's name David. And David had a lot of CD collections of rap music and so forth. And Tom borrowed one of the CDs. And I noticed that Tom and David himself, that, you know, we used to go to church, but we've been looking to the world so much on a consistent basis, a day-to-day basis, that we've been so violated and so corrupted 6 days of the week, that when we come to church, friends, that we don't love spiritual things, that we're waiting for church to get out so we can go back to doing our thing. And church didn't really affect us, because while we're in church, then we're not thinking about church. We're not thinking about godly things. We're thinking about what we're going to do later on. So church wasn't really having an effect upon us. And we started dressing and walking around and acting like everybody else. Because that's what we are beholding, the world. And they got to the point where these young men, they were in church, and they started arguing. In church, friends. They started arguing about a CD that was lent. David loaned Tom the CD, and David is asking Tom for the CD. And because Tom has been watching and feeding from the fountain of filth, and because he has acquired his body's immune system has become deficient, friends, because of watching these body act, it got to the point where they started arguing, and he started, before this point, he started walking around with the iceberg, because he wanted to act like the guys in the world. I'm telling you, friends, his mother's brought him up good. I mean, these were Christian parents, and they brought him up in the church. But it got to the point that they were started arguing. He took the knife out of his pants, and he stabbed David in his heart. And when he got stabbed, he was running home because he knew he was wounded. He was trying to get home because he knew that you know, he got stabbed. And the church had a wall, and he made it on top of the wall, and then daybreak. And his parents couldn't find him. And they started looking for David. Where's David? And they found him on the other side of the wall. He could only make it. And then he fell right down and he died. In church.
Mercy.
And if these young men, friends, were looking to God on a consistent basis, then they were hearing the word of God saying, be angry and sin not. If they were looking to God, friends, things would have been different. And I remember I was a part of a church, and I was a deacon in this church, and they were having problems with what they call shepherd rock. And I'll tell you, instead of these deacons looking at these brothers as potential candidates for heaven, instead of